Hello, this is Tom Long, president of Real Art Tacoma, and this is Grrrizzly Punk.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are back. Grrrizzly Punk 2026. What the hell is up? Man, it's February 2nd. We are back on your podcast feed, on your YouTube, wherever you're streaming this. Thanks for joining me. We're in a brand new year. This is a brand new season of the show. We are hitting kind of a little refresh. That new intro song you heard is Liability, We the Property, which actually released as a single last year, but they just dropped the album over the weekend, and that song is on there, and it is a banger. Go listen to Liability. They are the homies, and their album fucking slaps, so give it up for them. Be a few other minor changes, just kind of in the structure and the flow of the show. Not too big, really. I've got some great interviews coming up. This week is Tom from Real Art. He is the president of Real Art Tacoma. He also owns the Thunderdome Boutique Store and the Beyond Thunderdome Cafe, as well as making music, screen printing. The guy does a shit ton of stuff for the scene and for the local community, and I am beside myself with joy of being able to interview him for the show for my first episode back since December of last year. Really excited to get into things. Before we get too far into this episode, I just got to say, congratulations to the Seahawks. We're going to the Super Bowl, baby. Who would have thought at the beginning of this season that this would be happening? We would be here. I don't even think I foresaw playoffs, really, from the beginning of the season. We got a new quarterback who's okay, but we don't know how this is going to work. New coach. We sucked last year. What the hell's going on? Holy shit, man. 14 wins in the regular season, beat the Rams and the Niners in the playoffs. It's just incredible. So congrats to the Seahawks. I think we got this, but we'll be back next episode with the results of said game. I know this isn't a sports podcast, and I'm sure I'm glad, and you're very glad too, that this is not a sports podcast, but I just had to bring that up because I got hometown love for my Hawks, and I'm glad they made it this far this year, and I hope that this is a continuing trend. Anyways, back to the actual podcast of Grrrizzly Punk. We are here to cover music in the Pacific Northwest. What better way to start than let's talk about Unplugged in Tacoma. I held a concert on the first weekend of January. It was at Slice of Life in Tacoma. It was an all-acoustic show. I performed. A friend of the podcast, Ray, performed. That was actually her actual real first official live set, which was really cool. Jack from Stargazy Pie, under the name Stump, he played an amazing set. We had Socks from Pregnant Dad. We had Aloysius, a.k.a. Joe, from I Blame Beatrice, also the proprietor of Slice of Life. And we capped off the night with Black Ends. Well, Nicole and Ben from Black Ends doing an acoustic set. And it was just a beautiful night. It was so good after the holidays and just kind of what had been feeling like kind of dark times around. It felt really good to just come together. We had a great turnout. It was just a shared experience of being together and in a comfortable place, playing some kind of low-key acoustic music. Everybody had a great time. All the sets were amazing. And as you may have noticed, we recorded the whole thing. We actually recorded video of the whole thing, but I haven't got a chance to go through and actually edit any of the video. But the audio from everybody's set has been mixed and dropped on Bandcamp. It is a live album on Bandcamp. It's been for sale since about January 10th, I think is when I dropped it, for $5 or more. All the proceeds went to the Washington Immigrant Solidarity Network. Great foundation, a great cause. Very happy to give them more funds for the amazing work as they do in our community to keep our community safe. I don't have the total numbers yet, but I'm closing down the fundraiser, and I'll let you know when I have the official numbers on how much we raised. But it was great. And if you haven't got the album from Bandcamp, you still can. It's going to be for free. So the fundraiser's over, but you can still get the album for free now. But again, amazing concert. It's just the best experience. Other than that, January's been really low-key for me. Just kind of resting after the chaos of the holidays and really the chaos of last year. Just everything coming to a head. It felt really busy and really just kind of hectic. So it was nice to take a month of just kind of more low-key and chill. I really didn't go to any shows until this past weekend, which I got to talk about that. That was the Femmes to the Front show by Sweetheart Productions held at Base Camp in Seattle. And if you've never been to Base Camp, you need to go. It is an art collective with gallery upstairs and a music venue downstairs. It's a pretty big venue. I'd say, I don't know for sure, but I'd say probably 300 cap. And it's a sober venue, which is cool. They offer free water. They put an X on your hand like the old days, which is really cool. And the sound is amazing. There's murals and graffiti all over the walls. It's really an amazing place. And I got to give it up to the people who run Basecamp Studios. I want to see more shows there. This one was great. It was Femmes of the Front. It was Sweetheart Productions put it together as a benefit for LifeWire, which is a charity for survivors of domestic abuse. I'd like to know how much money they raised for that, and I hope it's a lot. The bands were incredible. Fatal Femmes opened up the night, and I hadn't seen them before, and my jaw hit the floor. They were amazing. Absolutely killer set. I talked to them a bit after their set. They're actually recording right now. They're on the Mopop Sound Off list, which is really cool. So big things happening for them. Next up was Fleamail, who has been on my list for a while, my wish list to see for a while. They did an amazing set. They even covered a Black Flag song, Gimme, 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 which was so fucking cool. Yeah, big props to both of those bands. Then we also had Bizarre, which features Lindy from Caps Lock. I've played one of their songs on the show a while back when they dropped their EP. They were a lot of fun to watch. Lindy is just a great human, and I love her. And then we had Sneer. Love those kids in Sneer. Those guys are just amazing. And they brought up some of the members from Fleamail, as well as just some of the audience members to sing a Bikini Kill song, which was super fun. They had great energy all night. The mosh pit was crazy. There was a ton of people. I mean, it was packed. It was shoulder to shoulder packed. And the night ended off with Dead Streets. My homies Dead Streets, love them. They did an amazing set. And the energy all around was just great. Unfortunately, I did hear that somebody did get groped in the mosh pit, which fucking sucks and is ridiculous. It was addressed by Dead Streets and later by Sneer. I don't know if anybody knows who the perpetrator was, but hopefully they got their ass kicked, or at the very least were kicked out and banned. That's just not acceptable. If you can't keep your fucking hands to yourself at a punk rock show, then get fucked, all right? Just don't even come. You know, this is supposed to be a safe place for everybody. You know, nobody should feel vulnerable or fearful at a punk rock show. It's absolutely ridiculous, and I never want to hear that ever happening again, but unfortunately it does tend to happen from time to time, and it really sucks, and it hurts a little to think about that. Aside from that, the evening was great. Energy was great. All the bands kicked ass, and, you know, big shout out to Sweetheart Productions for putting that together. All right, let's talk new music. And I'm going to preface this by talking about some music that we missed from my break during January, where I wasn't talking about new music. Obviously, I was still checking things out. I was still posting about stuff on my socials and updating the playlist. I just want to bring up a couple of things that we missed. Number one, Stormboy. I was hyping it for a good chunk of the back half of last year. The album soft released in November, meaning that you could order it on Bandcamp and have the CD shipped to you, and therefore, you know, stream it on Bandcamp as well. But it wasn't available on actual streaming platforms until January. And even then, it was not available on Spotify. It still isn't, and it won't be. If you want to read them talking about their decision to pull off Spotify, you can check out their website or their socials. But yeah, so the album kind of soft release, and I had an advanced copy of it for a while, so I was really, really into the album for a long time. It finally actually released. The album is called Beast Theory Machine. It is Stormboy's first full-length album. Man, front to back, this thing absolutely shreds. I love it. I've been listening to it nonstop for a while now. The CD is really nice. It's, got the jewel cases all professional, really nice looking. And they actually shout me out in the credits too. And the cover photo was shot by P&W Joey, Grit City's own Joey photographer, which is super cool and a great opportunity. And I'm very grateful to them for all of that. And the album kicks ass, and you need to go listen to it. And furthermore, you need to go buy it on Bandcamp and buy some of their merch. Get the CD. I don't care if you don't even have a CD player. Just get the fucking CD. It's really good. Another band that dropped an album in January was Pigpen. They dropped an album called Cloth Mother, which is really good. If you're not familiar with Pigpen, I played actually their single from Cloth Mother. I played, I think, on the November or December episode. That album's really good too. It's like a noise, hardcore kind of thing. Really screamy, really noisy, killer riffs. No guitar, just killer riffs played on the bass. Really good performance, really raw lyrics and lyrical performance. It's a really intense album. I enjoyed it a lot. And what else? Oh, Portland has been fucking killing it with their straight edge hardcore scene. A band called What It Meant. We talked about their first demo EP several episodes back. Well, they dropped demo 2 in January, which is just as good as demo 1. I mean, it's like 80s era sounding straight edge hardcore. I mean, it takes exactly from what was built then and just expands it into nowadays. Another Portland straight edge band called Rise Up also released an EP called Portland Straight Edge, and that was really cool too. I definitely recommend both of those bands a lot if you're into that kind of thing, which I definitely am. And our friend Stump Rivers, aka Jack from Stargazy Pie, he released his first ever solo EP called Knives. We talked about it on the show months ago. He kind of snuck it onto SoundCloud and didn't really mean for it to get a wide release, but I heard it. I played a song on the show and I told him, dude, this is really good. You need to let people hear this. And so he played the set for us at Slice of Life for the Unplugged in Tacoma. He had CDs of his EP. He brought 15 of them, sold them all, which is really cool. He pressed some more, and now it's on streaming everywhere. So you can go listen to that, and I highly recommend you do. And now let's talk about the new music. Right now, stuff that just released in the last couple of weeks. Dry Socket have announced another release, another album coming out. It's called Rigged Survival. This is classic Dry Socket. If you know anything about Dry Socket, and I don't know, I hold them very high in my regards. It's one of my favorite hardcore bands. They are just absolutely killing it. Every single release is incredible, and I picked up their CD. They put out a like an anthology kind of thing last month and the month before, where it took their first 2 releases as well as a couple of outtakes and then their split and packaged it all on one album and a CD. Been bumping that a lot, but now this new album, really looking forward to this. It is called Rigged Survival, and here is a song from it called Self-Defense Techniques.
Break my
Next up, another Seattle punk hardcore band called Fuck You is preparing to release their second EP called Does Fuck You Sound Serious Enough? Which, if I'm not mistaken, is a nod to Kim Gordon and Sonic Youth. That will be released, I think, on February 6th. So this week, they dropped a single from it called Land of the Free, which is an absolute banger. And I'm going to play it for you right now. But I also got to tell you that Does Fuck You Sound Serious Enough will be released on a CD and I think cassettes as well. The pre-order is on Bandcamp. Go hit them up. Grab that album on your preferred physical media of choice and continue to listen to it when it comes out on your preferred streaming platform because it rocks.
1, 2, 3, 4. Take your place. Please don't question anything. Stay to waste. Won't you think of the children?
Olympia band Grrrizzly is back at it. They had their previous live single was that L7 cover, which was actually a Fiends cover, Packin' a Rod, that was recorded in Arizona on their West Coast tour last year. They just dropped another song from that live set called Bad Girls, and they've been playing this song for a while. And it's really a lot of fun. It's kind of a riff on the that TV show Cops and their theme song Bad Boys. This live set from Arizona is going to be released as a full album sometime this spring. Speaking of Grrrizzly, I interviewed them, and that will be coming up soon in the next month or so. Look forward to that. Grrrizzly is a lot of fun. If you've never seen them live, go see them live. They are a lot of fun, really cool people. And we get into some fun stories because Lisa from Grrrizzly has been around the scene for a while, formerly in a band called Calamity Jane. which recorded in the late 80s, early 90s, and actually released stuff on Sub Pop and played and toured all over the place with a ton of cool bands. So we've got some stories from them. Be on the lookout for that. But for now, this is Bad Girls from Grrrizzly, live in Arizona. Stargazy Pie has released another single. This one is called Ready to Blow. It might be, I don't know, it's a toss-up between this one and Black and Blue, which came out in December. It's a toss-up for me, but these two new songs of theirs, their best work to date. I've talked at length before about how much I love Pacific Northwest Ida's, their full length from 2024, or maybe it was 2023. I've talked at length about that album and how good it is and how much it means to me personally, but I think these two new singles are leaps and bounds improvement on what they've already established as their sound, which is very unique, with the metalcore, really heavy lead guitar, bass, drums, and then Jack's really smart and clever songwriting abilities to make a good pop song, really, within the framework of this heavier thing that exists with the rest of the band. And I think they've really refined that now, and they're bringing in more of the harsh backing vocals, really sick breakdowns. I am a huge fan of what these guys are doing now. It is incredible, and I can't wait to hear more of this from them. So this song is called Ready to Blow. Take a listen now.
Fingers pointed to the sky, the shape of a gun to rain down fire. The pressure welling in my skull, the voices screaming loud, just doing what I'm told. Just doing what I'm told.
I'm ready
trying to let him alone. I'm ready to blow, thumb of it on the trigger. Baby's growing thicker, killing me slow. I'm ready to blow. I'm ready to blow.
All right, this next band has been around for a while. They are from Seattle. They're called Filth is Eternal, and they've actually kind of been quiet for the last couple of years, I think. They put out a single last year that was a Hole cover, a cover from the band Hole. I don't know if that sentence kind of sounded weird. They are back with a new album coming up in March, and they just dropped the first single from said album, which you can pre-order right now on Bandcamp, and I highly suggest you do. This song is called Stay Melted, and it's really good. So check it out, and then go follow them and listen to all of their stuff. Their past albums are really good, too. And it wouldn't be a Grit City Punk episode if I didn't talk about more than one Portland hardcore bands, because goddamn, Portland has some hardcore bands. This next band, you probably know them. They are called Slime. They are everywhere as Slime NW, Slime Northwest, because apparently there's at least one other band with the name Slime. But these guys are from Portland, and they just dropped a new EP called Vicious Oblivion, and it's a ripper from front to back. I can't say enough good things about this, but one thing I will say is the drums, the way they're mixed, is just chef's kiss, man. Whoever produced and mixed this EP, kudos to you, because that drum sound is like everything that I ever want in a drum sound. The snare is sharp with no sustain. It just hits, and it cuts through all the frequencies of the rest of the music. And the kick drum, that double kick, is so hard. Man, Slime fucking kicks ass. So check this out. It is called Mask of Morality from Slime's new EP entitled Vicious Oblivion. Next up, good friends of the show, Liability, are finally back. They took a break for much of last year, the latter part of the year. If you know, Liability is made up of Mitch on guitar and vocals and David on drums, and Mitch's son, who is in high school, plays bass. And so the reason for their hiatus was kind of family related. The son is very involved in his school music programs, and so with just everything else going on, they had to take a little break. More power to him for that. I totally understand. But they are back, and they are playing shows. They will play their first show back on February 20th, and then they have a few more lined up after that. And they just dropped an album. I guess it's an album. It's got 9 tracks, but I think it's only like 16 minutes long. So is that an EP? I don't know. It's an album. It's an EP. It's a fucking release, and it rocks. 3 singles from that had already been released. Well, I should say 3 songs from that album had already been released as singles. Big Heavy and We the Property, which is now my theme song. So thank you, Liability, for allowing me to use that song as the theme song for this year's episodes. This album it's crazy. It's self-titled LP, Liability, 9 tracks, all of them absolute bangers. Some of the fastest, thrashiest hardcore punk you will hear. And I'm really excited that they're back, and I'm excited that this release is finally out. They've been sitting on these songs for a while, and they're so good. So check this out. This is Never Give In, Never Obey, off of Liability's debut album, just released. Next up is an Olympia band called Torch. They have a new single out. It's called Gutter Nectar. They actually released an album last year, I think it was, under the name Gutter Nectar. But this is the title track from that album, but wasn't included on the album, which is neat. But this song is called Gutter Nectar, and wow, it goes places that I absolutely didn't expect. Really cool song. I'm new to this band. I've never seen them, never listened to them before, but this single, it grabbed me. You know, it's got that really just kind of dreamy, melodic kind of thing going on, really mellow, and then it gives you a sucker punch. And that's all I say. Just listen for yourself. This is Gutter Nectar from the band Torch.
I don't care who I am, I'm not my biggest fan. Try to help when I can, try not to hate on men. For the first time, my optimism is unrecognizable. Pessimistic voice is so loud and undeniable.
Seattle-based power twee lesbian raccoon rock band Trash Panda Go-Kart is back with another release, Bandcamp only. These guys never released anything to wide streaming platforms. Everything is Bandcamp exclusive and usually on physical media, which is really cool. They've been playing all over the place this last year, including Baba Yaga, at which they recorded a live album. And this live album just released. It's called Live Raccoons Inside. And it's a lot of fun. It's just exactly, if you've seen them before, this is their live set, and this is really cool. This is a song called Diamonds. Check this out now and download the album from Bandcamp. And vinyl is coming, which looks really cool. So also get that as well. And show some love for Trash Panda Go-Kart. This song is called Diamonds. Next up is the band Picket line with a brand new EP, no promotion. It just dropped on Friday. It's called We Won't Break. The title track was released probably 6 months ago, maybe, I don't know. It was a while ago. And this EP just dropped, like I said, zero promotion. They just dropped it. It showed up. You could download it on Bandcamp. You could buy it on Bandcamp. You could listen to it streaming everywhere. They also have a tape that was put out by Mind Eraser Records, which looks sick. So if you're into collecting tapes, definitely get that, or just get it just because it looks cool and you're supporting the band. Either way, the EP is phenomenal, and I'm going to play for you the second track on the EP. It's called New Reality. This is Picket Line. And finally, a Grit City Punk favorite band. I know I shouldn't play favorites, but I mean, I'm human. I do. Capala, been a huge fan of them basically since their inception, when they released their first single called Bring Me Down. That was part of the Live It Out Loud program. And they were really quiet for a while after that. And then they started hitting the clubs and the shows and playing a lot, building a lot of traction locally in not only Tacoma, but Seattle, and eventually Bremerton. They are really, really making waves now. They released 2 other singles, kind of quietly and apart from each other. And again, kind of quiet on the recorded aspect, but constantly grinding, playing those shows, building a really loyal audience. They're finally, it seems like every time I've seen them, they always say, hey, this song is on our EP, and the EP just hasn't come yet. It's kind of a rolling joke now at this point. But it's finally a reality. This EP is coming. It is going to be released on February 14th. It is Capala. It is an EP. There will be CDs available. I'm not sure if those are going to hit the release date or if it'll be a little later. They're having their official EP release party on February 27th at Real Art Tacoma. It's also Anya's birthday, so it's kind of a birthday/EP show. Definitely don't miss that. That is going to be an insane show. But back to this EP, the first single from it is called Bleed. If you've seen them anytime in the last year, you've heard this song. It's such a fucking killer song. And hearing the recorded version is just so satisfying now. It hits just as hard as you want it to. I'm rambling at length about this. I just love Capala. So check it out. This is Bleed, the first single from Capala's upcoming EP, and it will be available everywhere February 14th.
my name is Thomas Long, Tom Long for all intents and purposes. I am president of Real Art Tacoma.
So how did you get into the punk and hardcore scene? Or how did you get into punk and hardcore music in general?
I got into punk and hardcore music through Green Day, pretty much. Green Day and The Offspring. It was basically in the 90s when the punk rock movement kind of did a little resurgence in the 90s.
Right, with all the SoCal bands hitting mainstream.
Yeah, all the Lookout bands and Epitaph bands started coming up in the mainstream through MTV, and this was the days before the internet was really a thing, so it was all just MTV and radio back then.
Yeah. You're about the same age as me, so that's about my entry as well. Early 90s. I was definitely into the grunge stuff before really hit.
I think grunge is like an offshoot of like so many different types of music. It's weird because it's like punk and metal and like hardcore, and they were all just like trying to do something different in the same scene and just kind of melding together.
Right, because the scene was so small and isolated that if you put on a show, you couldn't have an all punk show because there weren't enough bands, so you'd have to do punk and metal.
I watched a documentary, what was it called? Hype. That's what it was.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah, that basically tells you in a nutshell how the grunge scene became a thing in the Pacific Northwest. Because, like, whether it be punk, hardcore, metal, literally any type of music that you would be into that wasn't, like, mainstream, so many tours would just skip the Pacific Northwest as a whole because it's, like, too far out of the way to go up from Cali sometimes or too far out of the way from people from the East Coast to come out sometimes. So they'll just not play Seattle, not play Tacoma, maybe not even play Portland, unless they were going to, like, I don't know, there's some weird routings where they'll go to Portland and then they'll go to Idaho or something, and I'm like,
I just totally bypass Seattle.
How did you just skip this whole area? Even to this day, it still happens all the time. So we have to have our own scene here.
Yeah, that legacy of doing it yourself and kind of being your own scene has really carried on.
Yeah, DIY still. We have to book our own shows, book our own tours, do our own thing, have our own scene, or else there's just not going to be anything. Because, I mean, even now where bands get more exposure through the internet and other things, it's still tough for, like, small bands to try to play here, so they just won't come. So they would have to be, like, a way bigger band. And sometimes the big bands don't even come here, so it's hit or miss.
Yeah, I feel like, well, I've been dealing with a band out of Vegas. They're doing a West Coast run, and I've been helping them coordinate the Northwest part of it. And, yeah, it's because when you're down, like, in Southern California, there's a million places to play. You can play... You could play 5 shows in 5 days. Yeah. And so every day is, you know, a net positive for you. Yeah. Whereas you go past, you know, especially you go up to Portland, you do Seattle, it's like you have to start looking for places because you don't want to have too many off days or else you're going to lose your ass on the tour.
For sure.
You know, not that it's all about making money, but you don't want to go broke going on tour. You'd rather...
No. I mean, a lot of bands do. A lot of bands do go broke going on tour, and they see it more as a means of gaining fans and getting exposure and just being out there than anything monetary-wise. So
but you still have to put gas in the tank, though. So you want to be playing a show.
You need to sell some merch or something. Like even if you play for 10 people, maybe those same 10 people will buy a shirt or buy a CD or something.
Yeah. If you make $50 in merch sales.
Yeah. That way you can fill up your gas tank and go to the next town. touring is tough sometimes, for sure.
Yeah. So, okay, so Green Day, Offspring, Rancid, NoFX, those types of bands, that was like your gateway. So
that was my gateway. I was already kind of into like metal, and some bands that I really liked, I didn't know were hardcore bands, because, you know, when you're a kid, everything just sounds like metal or punk or something like that. It's like you're not really in the weeds of things, and you don't know what subgenres are and like different types of certain types of music. So,
yeah, I had no idea about like what the hardcore scene really was until really just like in the last like 5 years, because I never really had any friends that were in it, and I've never been part of the hardcore scene. So like a lot of those bands in the 80s, I just figured, oh, that's just punk band, like Minor Threat and all that, Black Flag. Those are just punk bands. And I mean, they are, but also they're the roots of hardcore. And then other things like Biohazard, I'm like, oh, that's a metal band.
Yeah, that was one of the first bands I ever got into for hardcore when I was 14 years old. But I just thought they were a metal band. Like, one of my best friends at the time, so you're as old as I am, there was like Columbia House and BMG music services where you could get 10 CDs for the price of one, or get
and then
10
your dad
CDs
gets the bill
for
later and gets mad at you.
Yeah, and then you sign yourself up, and your parents get a bill, and they're like, "What is this?" Like, oh, because they will literally let anybody sign up for this thing. They would never check ages, don't even check identities. Like, you could just put down any information, they'll just send you CDs and send you a bill. But I found out like later in life, like watching some like online documentary on YouTube, where basically those music services were selling copyrighted material that they basically did not get licensed. They were just printing CDs and tapes and movies, and then just sending them out to people to try to cash in, and not paying any type of royalties or anything to the artists that made these things. I was like, hey, no wonder they were just sending these things out, because they're just like,
if they make any money at all, they're happy.
They were essentially pirating movies and music and selling it for like way more.
That's crazy. They had to have been legitimized through some record label.
Well, some of them, like, you know, they're like an offshoot of like a record label, but they were like
like Columbia House or BMG.
Yeah, those are actually record labels too.
Right.
But they were also like selling stuff licensed. They were supposed to get licensed, but they were just not paying anyone.
So they had their own stuff that they were printing, and then they were printing other people's without licenses.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that checks out.
So my friend got a Biohazard CD. It was the State of the World address. And his mom yelled at him because they had a parental advisory sticker, because those were just coming around.
Yeah.
And when you lift the CD out of the tray, it just has a kid pointing a gun at you. And it's so funny.
That reminds me, I got this sticker here from Diesel Fuel. I still hate Tipper Gore.
The PMRC can suck it.
Right?
Yeah. No.
So are you from here originally?
I am not from here originally.
Okay.
So I moved around a lot because my dad was in the Army. I was born in Kentucky, and then I just lived wherever throughout my life. My grandparents were from Korea, and when my mom was able to get their piece of paperwork all finalized, I think it was around 1992 or 93, my grandparents immigrated from Korea to move in with us, and they lived with us in Virginia a couple of years when my dad was stationed there. And then when we PCS'd to Korea, I think in 95, I think it was 95, 96 time frame, my grandparents moved to Tacoma because there's a huge Korean community out here. So they moved out here, and then I remember when I was like 15, we stayed on Market Street, downtown in Hilltop. We stayed on Market Street at their apartment before we moved to Korea. So they've been here since the 90s. My grandma just passed away last year, and then my grandfather passed away in 2005, but they had been here for like a long time, since the 90s. So I would come visit here off and on. And when I got out of the Army, my dad moved out here, or my parents moved out here in 2003. Is when he retired from the Army, and they decided to move out here to be close to my grandparents. And then I moved out here in 2006 after I got out of the Army. Once I got back from my deployment in Iraq, I moved out here. So that's how I ended up in Tacoma. But what's crazy is I only lived here for a year, and I moved up to New York in 2007, and I was there for 7 years. And then I came back in 2014, and I've been here since then.
So you spent your teenage years in Korea mostly then?
It was Korea and Georgia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Two wildly different places.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really crazy how that works. Because, like, when I lived in Korea, I lived in Seoul, which is, like, the capital of Korea. And then I moved to bumfuck nowhere in Georgia, Hinesville, Georgia, which is where Fort Stewart is. And Hinesville, Georgia, which is crazy for a military town. It's like the smallest town I had ever lived in. I remember it was big enough to have two rival high schools in the same city, but small enough to only have a 2-screen movie theater that was set up behind an old drive-in theater that was just abandoned, which is crazy that they wouldn't demolish the old drive-in theater. They just put in a 2-screen theater right in front of it. But luckily enough, we lived close enough to a city, Savannah, Georgia, where that was like where everything happened. Like, there wasn't even a mall where I lived. I had to drive 45 minutes to Savannah to go to the mall.
Yeah.
Which is pretty wild.
Yeah.
And for everything culture-wise, we'd have to go to Savannah for, because when you're in some podunk military small town, everything is like, there's nothing. I remember we didn't even get Applebee's until I went on deployment in Iraq, which was pretty wild. I think there was like 2 restaurants that were quote unquote fancy. I think there was a Ruby Tuesdays or something, and most people were like, "What the hell is a Ruby Tuesdays?" But there was none of those out here. But it's like one of those chain restaurants like Chili's or whatever.
Yeah, I remember the Ruby Tuesdays.
Yeah.
So when did you start like getting actively involved in hardcore? Was that, because I don't think there was a scene in Korea then.
There might have been, because I remember when I was in high school in 95, 96 at the Seoul American High School on Yongsan Army Base, there was a band that played shows. I never went to any shows, though. I just remember there was a band that I bought a demo tape from that recorded at a recording studio in Korea. But there were a bunch of like military brat high school kids playing punk music. It was some band called Bench. I remember, I don't even have that tape anymore, but I remember they had a song called Algebra 2 Girl. And it was like a pop punk band, and they had a song where they were singing about "You're my Algebra 2 Girl," and that's the only thing I remember from that song. Okay, the chorus, and I was like, "This weird, but I was like, all right, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, having a band out in Korea, I was like, I wonder if they played shows, but I don't really know. I just remember that they had a demo tape, and I was in JROTC, and this girl that was in JROTC with me gave me their tape.
Uh-huh.
What's really funny is, like, that's how I really got into punk music. Was I was already, like, into, you know, Rancid and Green Day and The Offspring because of the radio, but I didn't really know much about underground punk music until I moved to Korea, and then I was exposed to, like, a bunch of different people that were into punk music because there's so many kids from so many different places, culture-wise, that would be in one space, and they're there for, you know, however many years, usually 1 to 2 years, maybe 3 at the most. You have, because in that area, in Seoul, you have people that work for the government, like State Department, like not just military people. So you would have like people that were in the embassy and stuff like that. So all these different types of people would be in one spot. And that's how I got into, like, it was when inline skating was getting really big. And I got into skating through that. So I used to rollerblade with some friends who were into skateboarding and rollerblading, and then we would watch skate videos all the time, and that's how I got more into the weeds of punk music.
Yeah, that's a good resource there, the skate videos.
Yeah, because, you know, the internet was very, very brand new at that time, and it was like dial-up internet. You'd have to either get on America Online or Prodigy or Netscape or what any of those like services where it was like a gateway to information. And I didn't get on the internet really. I barely had an email address. But it was funny. But yeah, I got into punk music through all that stuff. And then I remember seeing some kid at school wearing a Fat Record shirt. I was like, what is that? And then they started talking about bands like, oh, that's an Epitaph band. I was like, what do you mean, what's an Epitaph band? What does that mean? Like, oh, that's a Fat Records band. And so then you kind of like learn from that to go into CD stores. For at this time, I was just going to the Post Exchange, the PX. And then you would just look at CDs and find out what record label are they on. And then you see, you're like Fat Records, Epitaph Records, Nitro Records, and you're like, oh, who are they thinking?
Right.
You read the credits, and then you see who they're thinking, what bands they're thinking, what people they're thinking, and then you're like, oh, let me try to. And then back in those days, they had CD listening stations and stuff like that. So you could actually go and like find a CD and then listen to it before you bought it. Yeah, in the store. So that was pretty cool. So that's how I found a lot of my music that I listened to back then.
Were you a big fan of the Punkaramas and the Fat Music?
Yeah, the Punkarama comps, I think Nitro Records were doing comps too. They were like, go ahead, punk, make my day. And like, I think Hopeless Records was doing a bunch of comps back then too. Fat Records had the physical fatness and
fat music for fat people.
Fat music for fat people, yeah. So that's how I got into punk, was through comps. Comps were a big thing. I remember one of the comps that had like the craziest amount of bands. How I first heard of Blink-182 before they blew up was a record called Punk Sucks, and it had so many bands on it, like bands that like even to this day I don't know what happened to, because I think they had like one record and then they disappeared. So yeah, comps were a big thing, and I feel like comps are starting to make a comeback too, which is nice.
They are. I've been seeing a lot pop up on Bandcamp, which is really cool.
Yeah, and then Matt Miller and Brainfloss Records put out that Northwest Hardcore comp, and they're gonna do that. They're gonna do another one this in 2026. We'll have another big Northwest Hardcore show at Real Art too.
Yeah, so that one was awesome. The Where Do We Go? Is that what it is? Where Do We Go?
Yeah, Where to Go. That's a song from Unbroken. Not Unbroken, I'm sorry. Damn it. It's Pettibone's band.
But yeah, that was a cool comp.
Undertow. It's Undertow.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, so from mainstream to more under the surface, like California skate punk style stuff.
Yeah.
How then did you make the leap to hardcore?
Well, when I went to Georgia Southern University, my freshman year, I ran into some kids that, some punks, because they're all wearing punk rock shirts or whatever, and like, oh, you're in the punk, I'm in the punk, let's be friends. Cause
he's a punk because he's wearing a punk rock shirt.
And where we were living, there wasn't a whole lot of us that I knew of, so when you live in the South, you think everyone's just like some redneck Republican, and those are your enemies.
Right.
But I met a couple of punks there. They were in a band called Lollygagger, and they were from St. Mary's, Georgia. So I hung out with those dudes. And then through them, I met a bunch of other punks and like kids that are in the hardcore. And then we just started going to shows. And I had never really gone to shows. The only show I'd ever been to was at a skate park in Warner Robins, Georgia. I think that was in 1997 or 98. I can't remember the year. It was like some punk show at a skate park that I went to with my friend. It was like an hour away from where I lived in Hinesville. Well, my friend that I learned how to skate with in Korea, he moved to Georgia too. So I would go visit him. His parents and my parents would meet halfway, and then we'd meet up at a drop-off point, and then their parents would take me to their place, or his parents, or my parents would take him to our place, and we would hang out for the weekend and just skate and hang out with friends and do all types of nonsense. But I went to this skate park called Ramp and Roll. It was like an indoor skate park, and they had a punk show there. And the only band I could remember was a band called Dirt Bomb. And what was funny was I met this dude named Steven Varant when I was in college, and he was the one who really got me into hardcore. Even though I had already kind of listened to some hardcore like before, because I was getting more and more into punk, and then I started listening to because I was getting into like the straight edge stuff. And then I was like, what are some straight edge bands? I don't even know how I came across Earth Crisis. But that was like the only other straight edge band I ever heard of was Minor Threat, obviously, because we were skating around with some like GIs when I was in high school, and there was this guy who would skate with us, and we'd call him Punk Rock Brian. And he was like an older dude. He was like maybe 5 or 6 years older than us. And he introduced us. He would take us to his barracks, and he would just play us records. And he's like, "Oh, you don't do drugs. You must be straight edge. Like, do you listen to Minor Threat?" I'm like, "I don't know what that is." It's like they're like a hardcore punk band. And he introduced me to Minor Threat, and then I was like getting really into straight edge. And that's kind of how I got into hardcore, and then got further into hardcore in college when my friend we were starting to go to shows and stuff, and he was like, "Oh, you've heard of bands like Indecision or Earth Crisis?" I was like, "Well, I've heard of Earth Crisis. I have one of their CDs. Like, isn't that a metal band?" It's like, I don't know. And then that guy introduced me to a bunch of hardcore. And we would just go to shows all the time. I remember one of the first shows I had ever been to, it was Hot Water Music, Saves the Day, Small Brown Bike. It was funny because we had to travel to go to shows, so we went to Columbia, South Carolina, at this place called the New Brooklyn Tavern. And back in those days, you could go to bars at the age of 18. I don't know why they would let you in the South do that, but you could go to a bar and see a show as an 18-year-old. And we got there super late because, you know, you're printing out directions on MapQuest. So,
right.
And you don't know how reliable the directions are. You're trying to drive and look at directions at the same time. It's
right, and you don't know if there's a highway under construction.
Yeah, so everything's like so jacked up. We ended up stopping at a gas station to try to figure out where we were, and then we ran into some other kids that were going to the same show, so we just followed them. We got to the show super late. That would have been the first time I ever saw Saves the Day, but we missed Saves the Day, we missed Small Brown Bike. We only got to catch the last 2 songs of Hot Water Music. But after I saw Hot Water Music, I was like, damn, this band's so sick. So just going to shows and seeing bands play and like learning about bands through the liner notes and things like that is how you found out about anything. And then the internet happened and you're just browsing the internet for everything. But
right. Why straight edge? What's your straight edge origin story?
So I started getting into straight edge when I was like 16, but I didn't really know too much. Like, I was like, I had never done anything other than try drinking beer when I was 16. My dad was like, on my 16th birthday, was like, have a beer with me. I'm like, I'm fucking 16. What do you mean, have a beer with me? Like, all right, me and my friend, we split a beer, and it was like the most disgusting thing I ever drank in my life. I was just not into that. And I tried drinking another time so this happened in Korea on my 16th birthday. I was moving to Georgia. And then when I was in Georgia, I met up with some people, started hanging out with this group of kids, and we convinced some GI. We just hung out outside a liquor store or gas station, liquor store, whatever, and I convinced some GI to buy us some beer. We just gave him money. He's like, what do you want? We're like, don't know much about drinking. So like, just get us whatever. You pick. And he just came out with like 3 40s of like Colt 45 or whatever the fuck. Malt liquor. That was my second attempt at drinking, and that was the final attempt because it was disgusting. And I remember my friend, he was drinking out of it, and it was just a bunch of head. And he ended up throwing up all over his shoes. And I was like, this is not a good time. So I was just like not into that. And plus, at the time, my dad was a functioning alcoholic, and my mom was chain smoking cigarettes. So cigarettes were a turn off because I remember my clothes smelling like cigarettes because back in those days, mom would just smoke inside.
Yeah.
You fold the laundry. Yeah. You could smoke literally anywhere. You go to the mall, you're ashing on the carpet. I don't know what the fuck. It was a lawless country back then.
Yeah.
You could smoke on airplanes. Like, they had smoking
sections. Absolutely nuts.
Yeah. Just thinking about that, how it was so normal to smoke everywhere. You think about that now, and you're like yelling at some kid in the venue because they're vaping. You're like, get the fuck out of here. What are you doing? But
just 30 years ago, people were literally smoking in the grocery store.
Yeah, you could just go around Fred Meyer and just smoking your cigarettes. You're like, I remember people be shopping for clothes smoking cigarettes. I'm like, you think about that. Back then, you're like, oh, that's just normal. But now you're like, what are they doing? You're just ashing on things and fucking
And everything just
especially burning
stinks.
clothes. Yeah, everything smells bad. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I don't know how they allowed that to happen, but it was crazy. Progress, I guess. But
Yeah.
I was definitely not interested in smoking. I tried smoking when I was 14, 15. Just didn't get into that. And then so I decided I was going to be straight edge. And then I let some friends peer pressure me. I don't know how much peer pressure really exists. It's like you wanted to do it or you didn't. But
yeah. I mean, if your friends were doing it and having a good time, then you would end up
you're just hanging
anyway.
out. You're just like, fuck it, I'll try it once.
Right, yeah.
And even though I had pretty much committed to being straight edge for like 2 years, when I was 18, I let some friends convince me to smoke weed. And I got high, so high, it was like the first time I ever had anxiety, I think. I had like a panic attack. And I was like, I know for real, like, straight edge is for me. Like, I don't like drugs. That shit scared me so much, so I was like, there was no way I want to try anything else. Because I was hanging out with people that were going to raves and shit. Mm-hmm. And they're candy flipping, if you know what that means.
Yeah.
They're doing all the drugs. And I'm like, that's scary as fuck. I'm not doing any of that shit. I'm good. So I like doubled down on my commitment to being straight edge, and I've been straight edge ever since.
All right. What does punk and like the punk and hardcore community, what does that mean to you as far as like lifestyle, ethos, like in your heart of hearts, what is punk?
There's so many genres of music where I just call it all punk. Like, it's all stemming from the same thing. Even some of your favorite like metal bands, in their heart of hearts, are punk bands.
Metallica took huge influence from Misfits.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, like, not musical genres or bands, but like, what is like the punk community? What is the hardcore community? What's that defined as for you?
DIY. That's pretty much it. Like, anything DIY is punk to me. So, what we do, specifically in the Pacific Northwest, booking your own tours, booking your own shows, making connections with other bands, just like building community. Like, that's what punk is to me, what we're doing here right now.
Mm-hmm.
Even with you talking to me about punk music and hardcore music, like spreading the message.
So you've done some interviews lately, and so have some other people regarding Real Art. This is Real Art's 10-year anniversary. Well, 2025 was. We've heard a lot of stories about like the origins of Real Art being the hall, and then the viaduct, and
the Red Room.
Right, in the Red Room, and then it became Real Art officially in the building that it's in now in 2015, correct?
Yeah, 2015.
Okay.
So this building was the viaduct from 2007 to 2010.
Right.
And then the Red Room happened, and once the Red Room ended, I was approached by Brian Skiffington and Josh Brumley about coming together and opening up a new venue. It was going to be Viaduct originally, because we just resurrected the nonprofit. I was like, hey, we're bringing Viaduct back in the building that Viaduct was in. Do you want to be involved? And I had just moved back from New York, and I'd only been here for about a year, but I still involved in like the hardcore scene here, going to shows whenever I would visit, things like that. So I still had all my friends here, and then when I came back, it just dropped right back in, and I was approached about opening up a clothing store inside of this venue, which is Thunderdome. So me and my buddy Alex Shellhammer, we had already been talking about combining forces and opening up a clothing store, and we were looking at some spots on South Tacoma Way, and we were looking at the Airport Tavern because it was like a smaller building. It was at that point shuttered because the Airport Tavern used to be a gay bar.
Yeah.
On South Tacoma Way, and whenever shows would happen at Viaduct, all the people that drank would go hang out at the Airport Tavern.
Yeah.
And get beers and whatnot. And I remember I had only went to the airport one time, and it was during Rainfest. Everybody was hanging out at the airport, so we just went over there and chilled for a bit in between bands. And so I remember that. I was like, I walked by and I saw that the Airport Tavern is shut down and it's for rent.
It's funny how many people still think that the airport is a gay bar.
Do they really? I didn't even know that.
Yeah. I mean, old funny. People.
Yeah. Well, what's crazy, though, is like, we've been here for 10 years and people just don't know that we exist. And I'm like, how do you not know? But then when you think about the people that we are serving in this community is like underserved youth.
Right.
And underground music, it kind of makes sense that people don't know that we're here.
Yeah, it took me a long time before I knew what it was. I mean, I had heard of the Viaduct, and I knew what the Viaduct was, but I'd never been to a show there.
Yeah.
Because I just wasn't in the scene. I mean, I was raising small children at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even know about Real Art until I think 2021, 2022, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, me and Alex Shellhammer were looking for a spot to open up a store, and then Josh Brumley reached out to both of us because Alex Shellhammer was in a hip-hop group called the Breaklights, and they used to play shows at the Red Room. And then that's how, like, a bunch of people from... So there was Alex Shellhammer, and then our friend John McCrae, who was, like, the audio engineer and, like, did the front of house stuff and played all the instruments, I felt like, for the Breaklights. So he was our producer.
Mm-hmm.
And Eddie was a sound engineer, and he became our first sound engineer, sound designer. He helped build the whole stage setup that we have in the beginning, with a bunch of like borrowed equipment and stuff like that from Viaduct and Red Room. We just brought all that equipment here, and then we ended up doing a GoFundMe to raise money to build out the stage, buy trusses, and do a whole huge, production here. So
yeah, like a legit
music venue. We didn't want to just have like a DIY space with a PA and a couple speakers and a mixer. We wanted to have like a real music venue.
Yeah.
So,
which is so cool because they're really at that point and before and even now, there's not really very many music venues in Tacoma that are like legit venues. And I remember growing up in the county, in Pierce County, like not in Tacoma proper. And I had never been to a show in Tacoma or in the area because there was no shows. Like there would be bars that would have like cover bands or, something like that. And then there was a Tacoma Dome that would have like huge touring acts.
Yeah.
And that was it. Like if you wanted to go see any show, you were driving up to Seattle. There was no scene locally, at least as far as I knew. I guess in the late 90s, early aughts, there was a hardcore scene with DIY shows and stuff, but that was so far like out of my knowledge that I didn't even know about it.
Because when you think about that time frame, like the only way you knew about things was word of mouth, flyers, people handing you an actual flyer for a show. There was no internet back then, or when there was the internet, it was you had to pay for it to get onto it. It was a whole thing.
Nobody was promoting shows on
nobody's promoting shows on the internet back then. Like
not even in the MySpace. I don't think.
Yeah, not until MySpace is when you saw things like that. Like I remember Friendster. was like the precursor to MySpace, and that's how I met a bunch of people in the hardcore and punk scene. But it's crazy how you get all your information from the internet now, but before, like, you might get some snippets here and there of what's going on, but it was all word of mouth. It was all from, like, oh, did you hear from so-and-so that such and such is happening at this place? Yeah. Oh, what's that? So that's how you found out about everything back then, is just word of mouth and flyers.
Yeah. So you've been with Real Art since Real Art officially started in 2015.
Yeah. So in 2015, I was a part of Real Art. I was like more or less just part of Real Art because I was running Thunderdome with Alex, and then we were doing the clothing thing, and we were kind of just doing our own thing, and then the other guys, they were doing the Real Art thing. So it's like Phil Peterson, Brian Skiffington, and Josh Brumley. And then Stein Hansen was doing all the artwork, and like there was a whole crew of people that were running the venue side. Me and Alex were just doing the clothing side, and we were supposed to have somebody running out where Beyond Thunderdome is now. We're supposed to have a guy running a coffee shop there, but he ended up kind of ghosting everybody and ghosting all of his employees and disappearing. I think it was alcohol related or something like that, but he just kind of like fell off. So we ended up getting this guy, Jeff, who ran Swoon Records, to open up shop in the front area. And then he ended up only staying there for about a year or two. I can't remember how long. And then through screen printing with Alex would go get all of his screens burned at a print shop on Pacific that was called the Collab Store, or Making Music. And that's how we ended up bringing Making Music here. And then I ended up partnering up with like Ron Pittman and Adrian Cooper, and so we all joined forces in the clothing store for that. And then it ended up, I think it was like 2017, I think a bunch of things started happening, and people were just like not really interested in doing the music anymore for some reason. So like Josh Brumley, he's a lawyer. He's out. Brian Skiffington got really burnt out on booking shows at that time, so he wanted to take a break from shows and just do because he's longshoreman, so he's out. Phil Peterson, even though he was living here I think at that time, he didn't really want to be doing shows, so he was kind of out. So that kind of just left me and a handful of volunteers that were really wanting to step up and like take charge of the venue. So we had Jean-Pierre Garcia, and there's so many people that I can't think of right now that wanted to kind of like step up and take over booking shows and running the day-to-day operations. So I ended up stepping as president because I didn't want to lose the building that I'm running my clothing store in.
Right.
So it was just me and Alex Shellhammer that stuck around for like I think another year, and then Alex wanted to do wilderness firefighting, so he ended up taking off and doing that. So it was just me, and then I'm basically running everything, and then I have Ron and Adrian here to help me, and they kind of step in more into like certain roles, and then we're just basically all of Thunderdome ends up taking over Real Art, and we just figure we're gonna keep it going, and now I do everything. It's insane. So it's like it's still me, Ron, and Adrian, but I'm like the face of everything.
Right. It's crazy how much stuff is happening in that building between the boutique store, the Beyond Thunderdome Cafe, the Making Music screen printing, and then obviously the venue itself. Yeah. And there was a barber shop in the back.
Yeah, there was a barber shop in a while. Now that's just our sewing room. but it's crazy. And there's an apartment in here that I live in. But it's so crazy how how I ended up not even wanting to be the face of anything. Like, even when it was the clothing store, it was Alex that was like the main guy, that was the forefront of the clothing store. And then I didn't really want to be like the face of the music venue either until after COVID. I kind of like went in deep. I was married. We got a divorce during COVID, and then I needed something to occupy my time. Mm-hmm. So I just we ended up parting ways with Jean-Pierre because we wanted to try some things that he didn't really think was going to work, and it didn't really end up working. So he had the right idea, I think. I just needed to see it happen. So I needed to be wrong in order for it to be right. But I just went in head first on making sure that I was that, and then I just ended up being the guy that runs Real Art.
Yeah. Well, it suits you.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
Yeah. So what has been a favorite experience so far just with the venue? I know there's been a ton of big shows, festivals.
Yeah.
Or even if it's not a moment, just an aspect of it. Just what is it that you love?
One cool thing about DIY punk and hardcore and running a DIY all ages space is we did the first JAG with Zach back in 2019. It was right before COVID happened. Zach had been doing Rainfest for 10 years with Brian Skiffington and Matt Weltner. That ended in 2016, and then he kind of stopped booking shows for a while, and then he started getting back into it around 2019 timeframe, maybe 2018. So he started booking shows again, took a couple years off, and he approached me about wanting to do a one-day festival type show and just call it Just Another Gig. He's like, oh, I have this idea of wanting to do a quarterly hardcore show that's a kind of big to-do thing, but do it once a quarter and just have some of the best names and hardcore in the surrounding areas just coming together and playing a show. And there was a lot of Bay Area bands and California bands that came through for that first one. Some of the bands, and then a lot of those bands are big bands now, which is crazy. Yeah, bands from Portland. Dying Wish was on the first Just Another Gig. Scowl, Drain, Hands of God, Gulch, Tsunami. Mm-hmm. All those bands were on the first JAG. So while on that day, I didn't even go to the first JAG. I had to go to a wedding, so I missed it. I just saw all the videos. Uh-huh. But it was crazy to book that show with Zach, and now it's a huge 3-day music festival, and it started here, and it ran here for 5 years, and then it moved to the airport. So it's still on South Tacoma Way, which is dope. Yeah. But yeah, it got its start here, just like Rainfest got its start here in this building before it moved to Seattle in 2011, I believe, because 2010 was the last year it was in Tacoma. Mm-hmm. I mean, the first year was in Parkland and the West Seattle Legion Hall. So technically the first Rainfest was in Seattle, but also in Parkland. It was the pre-show. But another one of my favorite memories, there's a couple. We had Power Trip play here in 2017. Rest in peace, Riley Gale. That was an amazing show. But one of my favorite shows that we've had was in when we had 2 tours combined into one show here in Tacoma. It was a Show Me the Body Angel Dust show that we had here. There was no locals on that gig because it was literally 2 tours that decided, because they were on the same booking agency, so they decided they would combine those 2 shows to one date here, and it was pretty crazy.
So what are you finding, or what do you see as like the biggest challenges for running a venue and putting together these shows?
Getting people to show up. There was a lot of time and a lot of energy, because we do a lot of shows for up-and-coming artists that no one's heard of. So we're doing shows for bands that are booking their own tours and relatively unknown bands. So, like, a lot of those shows don't really have big turnouts because we're trying to book those shows with, like, up-and-coming young bands. But then some of those bands don't really have followings either. So it's like some shows are hit or miss. And I think we didn't really hit our stride until we partnered up with Tacoma School of the Arts. And then we also partnered with Ted Brown Music Outreach's Live It Out Loud program. And that's when, with integrating those programs and doing other various rock camps and rock organizations, we're able to build on what we're doing. So we get a lot more of the youth coming in to find out about bands, find out about shows, just come to shows. So it's like, for a while we didn't really have a built-in audience where it was like, oh, I'm just going to go to Real Art and see what's going on. Like, there wasn't a lot of that. And still, sometimes I feel like there isn't any of that. But more often than not now, I feel like with the fact that we've been doing a lot more outreach and partnering up with Tacoma Creates and, like, getting music grants and things like that, like, more people know that we exist, and then they'll just show up whenever we have shows. Whereas before, we might have like 10 or 12 people for a show that nobody knows who these bands are. So it's kind of tough sometimes booking those kinds of gigs, but that's what we're here for. That's what we need to do. And, like, outside of house venues and maybe Skiff doing shows at the Slice of Life, or you booking shows there, like, there isn't a lot of venues for that. So you have to, like, kind of make stuff up as you go and find places like, hey, what coffee shop, what restaurant, what place will let us post up and do a show? Because, like, when we have small DIY shows here, like, if you have 20 people, the room feels empty. Where, like, if you do a house show or do a coffee shop or a restaurant gig or a small bar gig that doesn't normally do shows, 20 people, the place is packed. So, like, you kind of get in where you can fit in, and we still support that DIY mindset to where it's like any place can be a venue. So, like, doing shows that there's still VFW hall shows. There's still, like, an empty room that you want to just have a show there and rent it out. It's like, because you just talk to the real estate agent and be like, hey, can I just give you some money and you just let me do a show here for one night a month, maybe, until you rent this place out to someone else? Like, we'll try not to thrash the place or whatever. But
Capala did a show at a tattoo shop last year.
Exactly. So, I mean, then you got that infamous show. Dude's like, what the fuck's up, Denny's? Because he found a Denny's that was going out of business. And once they went, like, while they were in the middle of trying to sell all their furniture and all the inventory inside, after they shuttered their doors, they're like, hey, can we book a show here? So, anywhere can be a venue.
But having Real Art as like a home base in Tacoma, because everything else is so far away. I mean, there's venues in Olympia, but I mean, that might as well be a foreign country sometimes, especially during rush hour Friday, trying to get down there. Same thing with Seattle. Like, there's so many venues in Seattle and so many come and go, but especially for youth in Tacoma, like, that's a huge barrier. Like, you're not hopping on a bus to go to Seattle to see a show.
No, and you have like DIY all ages venues there. Like, you have the Vera Project, you have Black Lodge, and you know, VFW shows and whatever. But here in Tacoma, there isn't. There isn't a bunch of options for you. So like, you're either doing house shows, you're doing VFW hall shows. There was an all ages venue downtown Tacoma, 733. I think that's long gone now. But like, aside from them, at the time when we opened up, there was nothing else. Like, everything else was just like bars, restaurants, or
pretty much just bars, really.
Yeah, bars. That's pretty much it. Yeah. Like, Hell's Kitchen was no longer. That was one of the places you could go to an all ages gig, because they had it set up to where you could have an all ages spot and then have the bar. But then that closed years ago, even before I moved back, I think.
I think I went to a show there. No, I went to a show there in like 2009 or 2010, something like that.
Yeah.
But I think it closed down shortly after that.
Yeah. So there's not a lot of places for shows here. And when the Red Room closed, I think in 2013, there was like really nothing, like, outside of a house show or a VFW hall. So everybody's just going to Seattle for shows. And then, you know, we all decided that there needs to be another venue, and this place came up for rent, and we're just like, it was meant to be. Like, we can bring Viaduct back.
Yeah. So why is all ages music so important?
Well, all ages music is so important to me because I didn't have it growing up. I mean, when I lived in Korea, I didn't really know where to go to shows. I was too busy trying to skate, so I didn't really care about music that much. Like, I liked music. I was getting into punk rock at that time, so it's like, but I was like, I'm not really trying to go see live shows. And then when then we moved to South Georgia, Hinesville, Georgia, I didn't know anything about the music scene. There was no music scene in Hinesville, for sure. And then if you wanted to go see shows, you had to go to Savannah. And I didn't know where or how to find DIY punk shows. And there was no such thing as a DIY punk show or a hardcore show in Hinesville, Georgia at that point in time. So I felt like as an adult, like, I feel like it's my obligation to have something for the youth that they can be at, express themselves, and learn about life and music in an environment that is conducive to that, and not just you're going to a bar to drink, to get drunk, and I feel like a lot of kids now don't even like to drink. Like, drinking is not for them. Like, they're not into that anymore. Like, so it's funny that we opened up a bar in the venue. So, like, this is what we need to do to survive. And the young kids barely drink.
Yeah.
It's all old people drinking.
Right.
People my age or like in their 30s.
The parents coming to watch their kids play.
Yeah, where they're ingrained in the culture of like, in order for you to go see and enjoy music, you have to drink. But kids don't operate that way anymore, so that's pretty awesome to me.
Really far left field question here. Are you or have you ever been a juggalo or involved in the juggalo scene?
No, but also kind of yes. So when I was like 16, I hung out with some dudes that were into like Vampire the Masquerade.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, they were into like live action role playing Vampire the Masquerade, and I was like, this shit's fucking weird to me. I'm not into that. They also played Magic the Gathering and
back when it was new.
Yeah,
back
when it was new. And then, I mean, I'm sure if they were doing Vampire the Masquerade, they were also doing Dungeons and Dragons, because that's the same thing.
Yeah.
Pretty much. So I was just not into that. But they were the ones that got me into like nu metal. Like Limp Bizkit and like Slipknot. Well, Slipknot's not a nu metal band, but they were kind of like
they were lumped in with it.
They were lumped in with the nu metal stuff, especially because they were masks and all that. Mushroom Head and System of a Down. So that's how I got into those bands, was through those guys and like Limp Bizkit and stuff. They were juggalos. Like I remember my senior year of high school, one of my friends dressed up as on Spirit Day. It was Violent J. He had the hair braids and face paint and everything, but it was in the school colors. So as soon as you open up the yearbook, you see a picture of him dressed up as a juggalo as Violent J. Like the first picture in the yearbook, full color image.
That is so funny.
I was like, that's so sick.
Yeah. I was like,
yeah. So I listened to a little bit of the Great Malenko at that time frame, because that's when it came out, and they were bumping it pretty hard. And I liked that album, but I didn't really get much into the lore, because like soon after that, I kind of like was like, this shit's fucking lame. I'm not listening to ICP. I was like, I'm in the punk, I'm in the hardcore, I like some metal. Like I'm not doing this. I'm not into this.
It's funny how much of it like crosses over though.
Oh, there's fandom. So like some of my really close friends like Grant Staub and then also Kevin Deers, they were big juggalos back in the day. Like
shit, Kevin was too, huh?
Yeah, Kevin was a juggalo as well. So it's so funny how like so many of my friends, like they dabbled in it, and some were really into it because, you know, like for a while, because like Grant and Kevin were big wrestling fans.
Yeah, that's where a lot of the crossover happens.
Obviously they were very much big wrestling fans, even to this day type stuff. And you know, so I mean, Kevin was kind of like the face of Defy Wrestling for a while, doing their interviews and things like that. So, yeah, and then also ICP were wrestling for a minute when Doink the Clown.
They did.
It was during the Attitude Era. So Doink the Clown was wrestling, and then I think ICP got in because of him.
They were with the Oddities tag team.
Yeah.
In WWF, that was like in 97 or 8 or something like that. And
then,
after that, they went to WCW. They were with Sting. And Vampiro. So yeah, there's a lot of that, and a lot of hardcore guys are into wrestling. ICP basically comes from wrestling culture. So
and then you got like and then you got what's his face from Every Time I Die is an AEW wrestler. And then you also have Brody King from God's Hate. He's a pro wrestler. So it's like funny that there's all this crossover between wrestling and hardcore. And my dad, who's just like a lifelong wrestling fan, I would be talking about Brody King in relation to God's Hate. He's like, my dad's like, oh, I know Brody King. I'm like, you're watching all the wrestling. What do you mean?
So besides music, what else are you passionate about? I'm looking at your room behind you. I know that you're a huge toy collector.
Yeah, I'm kind of an obsessive guy when it comes to collecting. So I like VHS tapes. I like vintage media. I barely collect any vinyl, but I'm more like the tapes. So like tapes, CDs. I have a huge CD collection, but I don't know where all the cases are. I think they're at my parents' house still.
Okay.
I have everything in CD books still. And then
man, that makes me itch so bad.
Anything new still has like cases that are stacked up. But I'm a huge toy nerd, so I collect Masters of the Universe, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Garbage Pail Kids, and then anything Back to the Future related. I collect those. And then I used to, well, I still do. I collect sneakers too. I have like 80 pairs of sneakers, but they're mostly in storage right now because I'm like, I don't have room for all those.
Right.
Yeah. I have like a handful of shoes that I wear, and then everything else is just in storage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big collector nerd. I have too many things. I need to buy a house again so I can have everything in its own place and not just in my room.
I have a house and I have way too much shit.
Yeah, I bet that would be a nightmare for me. Just like, oh, I have more things to just spread everything out. Like,
there's more room for shelves here. There's more wall space.
Yeah, at least for me right now, I'm single, so I have nobody telling me no.
That's
buying anything.
Maybe a bad thing.
That's a huge bad thing. And I could only imagine if I owned a home. Still, it would just be the whole house would look like a museum, probably like a toy store.
Yeah.
But yeah, I collect quite a bit of things, and it's insane. As you can see.
Yeah. So what's coming in 2026 for Real Art, or for anything that you're involved in? Anything that we should be aware of to look out for, or any big plans?
There's a couple things I can't really talk too much about, but we're obviously going to be continuing on doing shows. It'll be our 11th year. We're just going to keep it moving, keep getting grants, keep doing DIY all ages shows, continuing to partner with other organizations, just continuing to build this legacy for Tacoma and Tacoma all ages music, just making sure all the right people know that we're here.
Yeah, I feel like that's such a huge thing to partner with other programs and other nonprofits and like actual like city things, like the City of Tacoma. I don't know if other cities do this, but I mean, like the Tacoma Creates grants, Tacoma Arts grants, all these things are just so insanely vital and helpful to Real Art, and then also to like mainstream museums and like the theaters downtown and stuff. It's just, I feel like you and the other people that have started Real Art and are continuing have really tapped into like maybe like a hack, like a cheat code for how to make a music venue thrive. By working with nonprofits and getting grants and stuff. And I feel like maybe people in other cities can learn from this on how to set up something that has longevity.
I think that's just getting the city involved in what you're doing and trying to figure out, like, Tacoma did a really good thing with the Tacoma Creates or grant, and like just empowering organizations to get money for the arts. Yeah. Because, I mean, there's probably other cities that do this, and I'm sure there's cities that you wouldn't even know where to go to even try to get money from the city to try to do something for the arts. So it's like, it's cool that they have a whole like commission that's funded by the city that gets tax revenue and disperses it back to the community in ways that benefits everybody, and not just like, you know, the one percenters that run around, like the elite people. Like, this is for the people.
This is for the kids.
Yeah, it's for the community. Yeah. It's for everyone.
And if anybody's not familiar with the Tacoma Creates grant that you use, that allows for the $5 student tickets.
Yeah, so that helps us get more people, underserved youth, access to music, access to the arts. Like, that's like one of the biggest things that we wanted to bring to the table, is having underserved youth have access to music, because it shouldn't just be about people with the means. Like, people with the means, they can just do whatever they want, whenever they want to do it. But then you have, like, kids like, you know, like us, people that grew up without money, like, how were they able to afford to go to a show, let alone, like, multiple shows a month? Because we do 3 to 4 shows a week, like, on average.
And unfortunately, we had some technical difficulties which interrupted the interview several times and ultimately cut it short. So sadly, that's where the interview ends. But I think we still got some good stuff out of it. Big thanks to Tom and everybody at Real Art and Thunderdome and Making Music. I mean, these guys are really holding it down and creating and maintaining the all ages music scene in Tacoma, and we wouldn't have half of the bands and scene here in Tacoma without Real Art. Just truly an institution for Tacoma that has been around a long time. And, you know, if we all try hard enough, we all give a shit enough, it will continue to be the underground all ages community in Tacoma for, I mean, maybe generations to come. Let's keep it rolling.
Hey, kids.
Hey, Dad.
What do you want to do today?
I don't know.
Do you want to go to the matinee?
No.
Do you want to go to the amusement park?
No.
Do you want to go to the punk rock show?
Yeah, let's go to the punk rock show.
Do you want to go to a punk rock show? Yes, you do. And here's some ones that are coming up in the next 2 weeks. Just a small selection of shows coming up. At Lucky Liquor on the 4th is Blow Up Doll, I Slept Under the Stairs, Sunbathe or Die, and Sleepy Cat. That's Lucky Liquor on February 4th. Friday, February 6th at Real Art will be Alex Vile, Hot Stepmom, Cherry Pick, and Haven of Rest. That sounds like a killer show. Definitely check that one out. Again, at Lucky Liquor, we've got Valencia, Dry Socket, Chopping Block, Shanked, Next Objective. Holy shit, that's a lineup. That's at Lucky Liquor. That's on February 8th. On February 14th at Real Art Tacoma is Love Bomb. That's the name of the show. It's got Rat Utopia Experiment, Beautiful Freaks, Actress, and A.O. Revere. Catch me at that show. That's going to be sick. Rat Utopia hasn't really played in Tacoma, I think, since I had them there in May for the Terror in Tacoma. So for the Tacoma locals, this is definitely a big deal. Check out Rat Utopia Experiment with Beautiful Freaks, Actress, and A.O. Revere, February 14th on Valentine's Day. Speaking of Valentine's Day, the weekend after will be the next Grit City punk rock show. Keeping up with the Valentine theme, even though it's a week later, on February 20th, I am very happy to announce Love in This Economy, featuring Shane Banger, Star Matriarch, Downsize, and Nogginless. This is going to be a killer show. Shane Banger has never played Real Art before. If you are not listening or not familiar with Shane Banger, get familiar and come mosh your ass off to their set in February. Star Matriarch, you know them, you love them. Downsize out of Olympia. This will be their Tacoma debut. They've been killing it in Olympia for a few months now. Really excited to see what they've got coming up. They are actually releasing an EP this month. Really looking forward to that. And the band Nogginless brand new band, never played live before. This is their debut show, their first ever show. I'm really excited for it. They are like a kind of an anarcho-punk, really, really heavy, really don't give a fuck punk. This is going to be a killer show. So that's Love in This Economy on February 20th at Real Art Tacoma. It is a Grrrizzly punk rock show. Everybody needs to be there. This is a call to arms. Be there. Also looking forward, what else is coming up? Oh, there's a new The Rat Utopia Experiment single. You may have heard about it. If you've seen them live recently, you've probably heard the song. It's called Blast. It is dropping this Saturday on the 7th, and I'm going to give you a little tease.
I was walking down the street cause I had some time to spare. I went up to a man and I took him to my lair deep in the basement. I tied him to a chair, then I grabbed the hammer and I sprayed it everywhere.
Punk to me isn't just about the music. The music was actually the last thing about the culture that I discovered. It's more about the community that's built on inclusion and empathy. I first kind of discovered that ethos back in around 98. I was really isolated during that year, and I spent a lot of time online. And during that time frame, I learned about Brian Dennehy, a punk kid who was brutally murdered in Texas. And through that, I learned about the DIY, nonconformity, and really making space for Outcast. Then when I moved back to Seattle, that's when I really discovered the community and, of course, the music that went along with it. Now, as a mom, I've tried to raise my daughter with the same values. When we first discovered Grrrizzly Punk and went to an all-ages show, the community that we felt was immediately welcoming. It felt connected, safe, and walking into real art for the first time felt like coming home, almost like walking back into those venues that I went to when I was a teen. And it was really awesome to share that with my daughter.
Thank you for that, Sarah. So that's going to be the show for this week. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Go check out all the bands that I played. Go to Real Art, anytime you can. Eat at Beyond Thunderdome. Shop at Thunderdome. If you need shirts printed, hit up Making Music and get some awesome work done by Tom and the boys. Just wrapping things up here, I just got to say, I really appreciate everybody who's been sticking around for the show and listening and talking about it with their friends and promoting, and everybody that's come out to the punk rock shows I've been putting on. It really means a lot to me. This project, the Grrrizzly Punk project, it's really gone a lot further than I ever really expected when I started, and I'm really appreciative of the scene and the community here for taking me in and allowing me this space and this platform. And it's mutual help. I help the bands help me, I help the fans help me. It's all just a big mutual community effort to get this thing going. So thank you for that. Make sure you're subscribed on your preferred platform for podcasts, hopefully not Spotify. Remember, you could get it on Bandcamp as well, sometimes a day early, or drop the episode on Bandcamp. They're free downloads, so you could drop a little donation if you want to. Or you could check it on YouTube as well. And speaking of YouTube, the Grrrizzly Punk YouTube page has not stopped. I'm still putting up concert footage from pretty much every show that I go to. That's been a lot to keep up on with uploading the videos and taking the videos, but I really enjoy it, and I really think it's important to kind of document the scene and to allow people to see the bands at different venues and kind of keep up with what's going on. Remember, I also have a playlist for all the songs that I play on the podcast. If they're available on Apple Music, then I put them on a playlist. That's a rolling playlist. I keep the last couple of episodes, so the songs are all there. I do make a Spotify version of it for the people that are still using Spotify. No judgment there. Everybody's got to do what they got to do. So yeah, check me out on all those places. Go to shows, support the bands, buy merch, be good to each other, be good to yourselves, and fuck Donald Trump, fuck ICE, fuck the tech oligarchs that are shitifying our world. We got to take care of each other. It's really more important now than ever to participate in mutual aid and protecting your people. And when I say your people, I mean, the community, not necessarily just the community around you, but this kind of chosen family, chosen community that is the DIY music scene in the Northwest. We got to look out for each other. So stay safe, stay hydrated, stay on the lookout for ICE. And I'm going to finish off the show here with a song from the band Sneer. They have a demo tape out. These songs on this tape are not available anywhere else. They're not on Bandcamp or SoundCloud or anywhere. They're not on streaming platforms. It's just this tape. You could only get it if you see Sneer. So my suggestion, go see Sneer. Buy the tape from them and listen to their demo EP because it fucking rips. So this song is called Arm the Poor. It's the first track off of their demo tape. Grit City Punk, this is Jeremy. I'm signing out. Thank you.
This has been a Jiggle Down Productions production.
Who are you and what do you do?
Who's your daddy and what does he do?